Mick, you don't even get it. I listened to like, I reckon, 5 hours straight of Hawk Talk.
Getting some good feedback, Jolie, which is good.
My face ended up just sliding on the cricket pitch.
Hello, welcome to Hawk Talk, the show, the podcast, where we keep you up to date with everything that's going on at the Batemans Bay Football Club. We like to meet some of the characters that make the club the great place it is. I'm your host, Joel Erickson. That's my co-host. I don't even know which way you are most of the time, Mick, but I'm going to put my head that way, and I'll either look really smart or really stupid. That's my co-host, Mick Kenny. How are you, Mick?
I'm very good, thanks, Jolie. Good to see you again, mate.
Yeah, you too. And our special guest for tonight, for this week, or this fortnight, I should say, is the club's new reserve grade coach, Nathan Darvill. Nathan, thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Great to be a part of one of the podcasts that I've really enjoyed watching from the past. So glad to be here.
That's good feedback right off the top. We love that. Thanks, Nathan. Hey, before we get into the interview, we'll just go over some of the stuff that's been happening at the club over the last couple of weeks. Mick, there's been another big announcement in terms of the women's program. Another signing has been announced since our last podcast. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we obviously announced Claire Callahan as another signing for the first grade women. Claire had an outstanding 2025, was obviously part of our under 18s women's setup last year as well as obviously playing for a home club down there in Bermagui. So, very lucky to get her on board in the first grade women's setup this year, and actually her, and we'll probably touch on it a little bit further into it, but her and Amy White have actually been heading up the hill, and they're a part of the under 22s AFL Canberra squad at the moment. So expecting a really big year from Claire as well.
Yeah, that's massive news, and we had some. I think we had some of the young guys picked in a representative squad as well recently. Mick, do you want to talk us through some of that as well?
Yeah, so we've also got the summer series coming up, Jolie, which runs for 3 weeks. So 28th of Feb, 7th of March, 14th of March. So the summer series is played out between the under 22s of AFL Canberra, AFL Sydney, as well as the GWS under 18s Academy and the Sydney Swans under 18s Academy. So in the women's space, we've got Amy White and Claire Callahan in the under 22s for AFL Canberra. And then we've also got Zara Neal and Isla Judd, a part of the Giants under 18s. And then in the men's space, we've got Sevi Geary and Morris Absalon as part of the 22s. And Big Noah Ashurst is currently in the GWS Giants under 18s squad as well. So, really good, mate, to have some good representation in rep footy.
I think if you'd said even 5 years ago that we'd have six players across the club under the age of 22 playing in that kind of level, people would have told you that you were being silly. It's just probably a really good sign of how far the club's come in such a short time.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And obviously something new to us this year with rep footy. Being in community division, we obviously don't get that opportunity to play rep footy. So now it's probably another big part of the reason why the club pushed so hard to be a part of the Premier Division. Obviously we get opportunities to play rep footy now as well.
And mate, I have noticed recently that the signings on the men's side have been a little quiet in recent months. Is there anything you can kind of pique our curiosity with, or is everything still kind of being kept under hats at this point?
There's plenty of conversations happening, mate. Both myself and Sammy Martin are still on the go, and I think Nate's just about to start his phone call block to the Rezzies boys in the next sort of week or so as well, a couple of weeks. So, yeah, no, plenty happening behind the scenes, mate. Nothing to announce at the moment. But yeah, there's a couple of sort of big re-signings at the club that hopefully we can announce in the next probably week or so. And like I say, a few conversations about potentially another one or two coming into the setup as well.
The only one I want to really know about once it happens is a certain tall, extremely handsome man from Wollongong. If you can get that bloke over the line, I'll be happy.
Well, watch this space. We'll wait and see.
Speaking of another friend of the podcast as well, I'm going to put you on the spot a bit here, Mick. I did call you during the week just to confirm some of the details about this show. And I think you're at training because you picked up the phone, you said my name, and then you had a chuckle. Even you might even describe it as a giggle. And you said that there was a certain bloke whose name will not be said, but he is a friend of the show, had said something that had obviously set you up or set you off there. You willing to disclose that in public, Mick?
No, he was just very excited that you were ringing, mate. Boys miss you very much, Charlie.
I doubt that very much, especially that bloke. That was a rude reaction to my name. Anyway, yeah, big friend of the podcast, that bloke. I think everyone knows who I'm talking about, but we'll move on. Also, Mick, just another thing I wanted to touch on that is probably something that'll get announced hopefully in the next little while, but I know there was a big step taken. This is going to pique some people's interest, but I know there was also a big step taken in something very exciting for the club in the last couple of weeks, and that must thrill you as well. I know we're being very cryptic here, but I think
Are you putting me on the spot here or what?
No. I think you know what we're talking. We just had a certain person in Canberra complete something for us that is going to be the first step towards something much bigger later in the year. I think
this is
you know
like
what I'm
cryptic
talking about.
to me.
Oh man, this is why I should brief you before the show. That's all I'm going to say on that because we're not. I don't think the club's ready to announce that one just yet.
Nah,
so I'll leave that alone. Hey, let's get into the main part of this show, which is where we speak.
Just before we do that, Jolie, just a real quick one. Footy's back this week, so we've got our under-18s men's and under-18s women's both playing in the Queanbeyan Cup this Saturday. So yeah, obviously if you're in Canberra or you want to get your footy fix, get up there. So there's 6 games of footy. The girls play 3 games, boys play 3 games across the whole day at Queanbeyan. There will be live streams as well. Queanbeyan will have that on their socials. We'll share that on our socials as well. So yeah, obviously very exciting to get footy back, mate.
It's wild that it's midway through February and we're already talking about footy being back. It's different levels in first grade, eh?
You gotta love that.
I don't think the boys warmed up until probably mid-May at the earliest when you were still community grade, but it is what it is. Okay, now anything else we need to mention, Mick?
Nah, I think that's it, mate. Sorry, I had to get that one in.
No, that's it's far more important than whatever it is I was going to say. Because I mean, obviously, the main point of the footy club is to play footy, hopefully for most people. But hey, let's get into talking to the new. Speaking of footy, the new reserve grade coach, Nathan Darvill. We're going to put Nathan on the spot a little bit here, but first of all, Mick, you've got your questions lined up that are a bit more fun, so the floor's yours.
Yeah, easy. I didn't prep Nathan on these ones, so hopefully he's been watching the show, but I'm sure he has.
Fingers crossed. Here we go.
Righto, first one, mate. One app on your phone that you cannot live without.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not a gambler, but I know that when I go to the casino or the pub, I love to have a small flutter on the pokies, but I'm really terrible at it and I lose all my money. So to have a pokey app on my phone, I can get that fixed without losing money. So, yeah, I'd say I probably can't live without that. And I probably play it once every couple of days. Yeah.
Good. That's a different one, Jolie, which is good.
It's responsible.
Yeah.
I like it.
Next one, Nath, is your go-to coffee order or your drink of choice?
Well, funnily enough, I'm just high on life. I'm not a coffee drinker at all. I'm a small hot chocolate man once a day with a marshmallow on the lid, not in the hot chocolate.
Nice. Very good. Next one, a bit more footy related. So, pre-game routine or superstition?
Now that I've come along in the years, I very much know that if I don't have a proper warm up, I'm going to probably fail on the field. So, without fail, I put a big effort into, even though the side will do a warm up, I always like to do my own warm up prior to, and that's become quite religious to ensure that I'm well and truly stretched and warm, ready to go.
I think that's fair.
Very responsible answers, aren't they, Joel?
They are. Mick played the last 2 seasons with a constant calf injury, so I think that's how you keep that away from you.
2? You only talk about 2.
Sorry, he's played the last 10 years with a constant calf injury, let's be honest.
So I've got favourite Seahawks moment so far, but obviously new to the club, so I guess favourite footy moment that you've had, mate.
Oh, I've had a lot of moments over the years. Are you talking about just in general in life, footy moments?
Yeah, just in general, yeah.
Favorite footy moment actually came quite recently. I was playing up in Darwin in the AFL Masters Carnival, and was lucky enough to be selected to play in the All Stars versus Indigenous game. It's something that I've watched games like that at the highest level on telly, and to be a part of such a special event for both teams in particular, but the Indigenous as well. It was just a great experience. We got our own personalised jerseys and everything, and I really took away from that a special memory. And being in a place like Darwin, which is heavily influenced in the Indigenous space, that was pretty special, and I'd say a favourite moment I've taken away from footy.
Yeah, nice. Very good, mate. And then last one from me before we get into Jolie's grill is if you had a time machine, what place or moment would you go back to?
Oh, geez, that is an on-the-spot question. If I had a time machine, I'd probably go back to probably my early senior footy days. And I probably would have done things a lot differently in respect to how I looked after myself. I'm not here to talk myself up, but I was fairly good at footy as a kid growing up, and I think I probably let myself down and watched quite a few of people I played in junior footy make AFL level, and I knew if I could go back in time, I know there's lots of things I could have done, not necessarily to make AFL level, but just to be a far better footballer back then. I would have probably enjoyed my footy a lot more in those early senior footy days. But I hate to use that analogy of a time machine because I think there's a lot of things in life we'd love to go back and change or fix. But that's probably just one I could pull out of the bag.
Beautiful.
There's some of the best answers we've had to your questions in the entire 3-year run of the show, mate. That's very good from you, Nathan. Very good, very good. Hey, let's get cracking on we're going to dig into your footy history and your life a little bit, Nathan. Let some of the fans of your new club get to know you a bit better. And let's start with the footy because obviously you don't join a club like the Batemans Bay Seahawks if you don't love your footy. So tell us about your history. Kind of how old were you when you started playing? What levels have you played at, Nathan? What was your main position? Where have you played? Just basically take us a bit of like a history of your journey in footy.
So footy for me started in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. I was living in a place called Ferntree Gully. I was probably about sort of 600 metres from a footy ground. I was 6 years old, and I remember hearing the whistles blowing from my house on a weekend. I think it was a Sunday, and I said to my parents, I'm just going to run down and check out what all these whistles are. I thought I might have been missing out on some party that I didn't get invited to. I don't know, but got down to the footy club, and now because our school was really close to where I was living in the footy club, turns out a number of guys that I went to school with were playing footy there. So I just asked them what's the go, and to cut a long story short, I turned up to training the following week and found out that it was the Knox Eagles Footy Club, which is now called the Ferntree Gully Eagles now. I look back on it with fond memories. I had the same football coach throughout my whole junior career. Unfortunately, he passed away in the last 5 or so years. But strong memories, very successful club, made the finals every year that I was a part of it, from under 8s through to 17s. I made some junior rep teams back in the day, which was great. Back then, I was a very fit, light midfielder, but I was ultimately used as a tagger, which is a job that I do enjoy. Even now, if I get the opportunity, I love to take on the best player on the field if possible. I love to get under their skin and really take them out of the game, something I take pride in. But as the years went on, I started to develop into a forward. It's a craft that I really love. I love to kick goals, and one thing that I hope I'll get plenty of opportunities to do throughout the year is to put on my traditional goal celebration, which is something I've had a lot of practice at over the years. I do love to celebrate. I do love to get my teammates fired up with a goal, especially if it's at the right moment. Senior footy has traditionally been in the forward line. And over the years, I've probably gained a little bit of excess weight that I wasn't wanting to put on, which probably hindered my ability to be back in the midfield. Of recent times, the last 2 to 3 years, I've lost all the weight, and I'm probably the fittest I've been since junior footy. I'm very much playing a midfield role in the Masters up in Sydney. Hopefully play a bit of a role for the Seahawks in the Masters at some stage as well. I played all around Australia only because I was in the military for 20 years, traveling from posting to posting. I was never settled. But one thing that always grounded me in location was joining a football club in those areas. Fondest memories would probably be Cairns in 2016, playing for the South Cairns Cutters and winning a reserve grade grand final. Being able to play some senior games of footy with them too, with some very talented footballers in that league. Last year was a great year playing up in Vincentia for the Bay Basin Bombers. We won the reserve grade premiership there as well. Just lucky enough, I guess, to be involved in some great clubs that had some great people. At the same time, you ultimately need to have sort of everything running according to plan to win the ultimate game of the year. Footy's always been my life. It's not only something that I enjoy doing, it's also a strong contributor to strong mental health as well. And that's why I love playing it. It just makes me feel great, being around great people. It's just been a real highlight of my life over the years.
You mentioned Ferntree Gully. That's I actually grew up myself about 10 minutes up the road in Croydon, so I'm very, very familiar with Ferntree Gully and that part of the world. Nathan, I know for a fact that they've got an Eastern Rangers side in the TAC Cup at this stage. I'd imagine that would have been around when you were kind of coming up through the junior levels as well. And was that something that was ever an opportunity for you?
I do know of it, and it was around. No, I don't think it was ever an option for me. I think life is all about the right time and the right place and the right circumstances. And unfortunately, this is obviously not the time or the place, but I guess for me, the stars didn't align in my childhood growing up for me to ultimately step up to the next level. My military career started at 17, and there was a number of factors in my childhood that led me into that way. And once I joined the military, everything was sort of out of my control. So I didn't get the choices that I would like to. A highlight I didn't mention before was playing for the Navy side in the ADF Carnival, being selected in 2007. We didn't quite win the carnival that year, but it was such a great experience to play with some pretty talented Defence Force personnel, and that's like the highest level of footy in the Defence Force that we could have played, and yeah, it was a real privilege to play that.
You mentioned that you enjoyed the role of a tagger. Would you say you were more in the kind of in the Cameron Ling style of tagging, or are we looking more like a Ryan Crowley? What were you? What was your kind of tagging style?
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen both of them guys, Cameron Ling in particular. I guess for me, it's not necessarily being a pest per se. It's just making the person feel uncomfortable. Any game plan they went into the game's just not going to work with me right next to them. And I think I do watch a lot of people do tagging in the AFL, and there's some really great taggers out there that I've taken a lot from. But I think my goal is just to always be there, not to worry about necessarily the game around me and what the rest of my teammates are doing, but my sole role is just to pester them away from being able to do what they do best. I take a lot of pride in it, and I think we all know, we've been around footy long enough to know if you can take out the best players, you go a long way to winning football games, because they don't have the influence that they would normally have.
Oh, I will say my favourite tagger growing up was Kane Corns, which is ironic given he became a pest once he retired as well. So love that. Mick, you've been known to kind of pester your way or pester some forwards in your time, Mick. Have you got any wisdom to add to that tagging conversation?
I wasn't a tagger, mate. I'm too slow to be a tagger.
I used to be at least a couple of steps behind the forwards.
Yeah, plenty of steps behind.
Nathan, when I was working as a journalist in Batemans Bay, I used to come down and cover the Seahawks. One of my favourite things to watch was Captain Mick Kenny. He'd be in the back line, and then if the game was getting a bit out of hand, you'd see him in the fourth quarter just start creeping up and eventually find his way kind of towards the forward 50. And it was always a bit of fun when Mick snagged a couple of late goals in the game.
Hey, don't tell him that, Jolie. You meant to tell him I'm a forward, mate.
He basically was a forward in the fourth quarter.
I need all the wisdom I can get with Mick, because I need to know what he's best at and what he's not so good at.
He's good at pretty much everything on the field. If his calves are holding up, he's good. So Nathan, obviously you've become a part of the club this year, but you were playing a bit further north around the Nowra area last year. Have you had much experience with Batemans Bay or the far south coast in your time?
Not in regards to playing, no. I have a newish connection with the South Coast Buccaneers from playing in Bali last year and playing again in Bali this year. I played with a couple of ex-players or players that have played recently, like Greenie, and I know Blue and a few other people. I have umpired in the Canberra AFL League a couple of times in the past, so I have sort of seen a bit of the standard of football in this league. So, no, because of me moving around, I haven't been as far south as Batemans Bay, but I couldn't be happier with being down here. And even though I'm, traveling an hour and a half round trip for training, and there'll be obviously a lot of travel for games and stuff, travel isn't really an issue when you're around a great club and great people. I already see great things this year, no matter, what all the on-field results may be.
I'll tell you what, Greenie would love getting a mention in the show, wouldn't he, Mick?
He gets a few.
He does. For a bloke who's never been on the show, he's probably mentioned more often than anyone else. Hey, Nathan, walk us through kind of the process of accepting the reserve grade job. When did Mick approach you? Was it a hard decision to make? Basically, I guess what brought you to the club in 2026.
Yeah, look, I'll take one step back prior to reaching out to the club, and certainly not to throw the previous club under the bus in any stretch of the imagination. But I feel like with 36, 37 years of football experience under my belt, both playing, I have coached before senior footy and also the umpiring. I kind of feel like it's my time to step into a more of a leadership role in bringing the next generation up, and imparting on any of my knowledge I can to help them be better footballers. I didn't quite get the opportunity that I was hoping, expecting in a leadership position at the previous club, and I made it known that that was my ultimate goal. So when I saw an ad on social media for Batemans Bay, and I had been looking at roles, just unfortunately no roles within a locality that was close enough for me to get to came up. I saw the Seahawks ad come up, and I had been watching over previous years' scores, some of the player names, and sort of just tracking how the club was going. And then to hear that it was the 50th anniversary, that you were stepping up, and me always loving to take on a challenge, you need to be always challenging yourself in footy, and I just saw this as an opportunity that I couldn't turn away from. I knew I still had years left in me to play footy, but coaching was always something I've been drawn to. So I reached out, put the expression of interest in. I think a short time later, Mick reached out to me. We had a bit of a chat about it. He pulled me in. I came down and just explained what the process was and everything. And I had to wait for the process to run its course, and then was reached out and said, yeah, you can have the position. And that's when I met Mick to go over the finer details. And haven't really looked back since. I feel very grateful to be given an opportunity, especially considering that from what I can see in previous years, reserve grade has been looked after by Mick and people like Cam Carr and that internally. To have an opportunity for the club to let someone external come in that hasn't been around the system, I feel grateful for that opportunity, and hopefully during the year I'll repay that through my own football, but also the coaching side of it as well.
Yeah, I was going to say you're definitely filling some big shoes. Cam Carr's a beloved man at this club, has given his heart and soul for the club for probably the better part of a decade or a while. As Mick, he's been there for at least 2-3 years as the reserve grade coach, and
I'd say maybe 6-7 years he's probably been around. Yeah,
but hey, it's a. I think you're right in saying that it's probably an honour to kind of be the guy to come in after Cam. Mick, I'll ask you this question. What was it about Nathan and his expression of interest that kind of impressed you?
I think it was when we caught up, mate. We both myself and Inget Freya actually went up to Ulladulla for a footy meeting, and we caught up with Nath really quick before that. And I think from the outset he was really impressive and said a lot of the right things. I think for us, we've obviously got a lot of kids coming through. We've worked really hard on establishing our under 18s program the last couple of years, and I've had a big influx of kids coming through into our first grade and reserve grade setups, and just the fact that that was something that he was really passionate about was developing footballers and developing players and young men. That was probably the thing that really stood out for me. And we had a couple of options there, but at the end of the day, myself and Danny sat down and we obviously fell on Nathan and luckily you accepted the position.
Nathan, regarding the position, it's probably one of the toughest, if not the toughest, at most football clubs. You're obviously juggling the grizzled veterans who are probably past their first grade years, but they want to keep playing footy, and then you're going to get the occasional first grade guy who needs to rehab off an injury for a couple of weeks, and so you might have to slot them in. And then it's obviously the young guys coming up from the 18s who may not be quite there yet for first grade, but are still very talented footballers. How do you kind of balance all the expectations and all the playing types and levels that you're going to get in your reserve grade team?
Well, I think that comes from my past experience of being in community football. I don't think I've ever played in a football team that has 22 superstars all in one team. Everyone brings their own unique ability, style, skill, and on top of that, a footy IQ. I think for me, it's about really getting to know the players and understanding what their strong attributes are and how we can bring the best out in them. I actually don't know everyone's name yet. I'm still working on it. I will get there eventually. It was no different at other football clubs, but I mean, there's one particular guy that's super committed at the Seahawks. I'm not sure what his past experience is with the Seahawks, but he'll be a second grader this year, and his kicking ability needs a fair bit of work. There's no doubt about that, but there's no point honing in on just that. It's about honing in on his positive sides. He's a very quick runner. He's committed. He puts his body on the line, and we can't be good at everything. So I think for me this year, it's just about being positive. It's certainly a jump up from community football to Prem reserve. So it's a big challenge for everyone, but that's not to say that we can't get the best out of everyone to put our best foot forward this year. And I'm excited about the challenge. It's not going to be easy. If everything was easy, then everyone would be doing it, wouldn't they? So I'm looking forward to what I've already seen on the track so far. Obviously, Marto's brung his style in, and that's been really great. But to see the buy-in from the players already has certainly impressed me. It's driven me to push harder and faster at training, and I think that with that just uplifts everyone. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the year ahead for sure.
That's a good segue into my next question, because I was going to ask, how have you and Marto been kind of getting along so far? Have you had much to do with each other yet, or is it kind of you keeping to yourselves? How's that going?
Oh, look, I must admit, and I'm sure Mick will admit, I've had lots of questions about how I integrate as coach into the system, because every club runs very differently. For instance, in Cairns, we would train from pre-season for a portion, and then we'd split up into two teams, and the coaches would have a lot of control over their teams. At the moment, the system is Marto's controlling all the strength and conditioning and the training regime, which is great, and it's a great system, and everyone's buying in. Marto's a great guy, and I've really enjoyed the banter with him and the chats, and I ask him lots of questions. At the end of the day, I'm not the most experienced coach on the planet. I know that. And I've really learned a lot from Marto's style and where he's come from, his high level of footy as well. So I'm sort of I'm buying in, but I'm also learning from him as well. And I'm taking a lot from what I learned from him that I'll bring into the second grade this year. And I think the relationship's developing, and I don't see any issues there, and I'm just enjoying the experience.
And you must see some benefits of having your second graders training up with those first graders on a consistent basis as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good. I think the more that we're around quality footballers, it only improves our game for sure. So, and I've already seen that with coming and training with the Seahawks regularly. And then I did a bit of a dash up to Sydney for work, and I managed to get a training session up in Sydney with their sort of Div 3, 5 and Masters teams. And just the skills that I've brought from training down south up to there, it's just, you can see how much that sort of has radiated into my own game. And I can only imagine that's rubbing off from some of the top tier senior players down to some of those fringe and second grade footballers for sure.
And Nathan, I'm not meaning to toot my co-host's horn here or anything, but you've come into a setup where you've got a lot of coaching experience between Marto and, Mick's done a lot of coaching. Billy Alves is a guy who I know Mick trusts, and of course we've got a former first grade coach, Nathan Blackburn, in the setup as well. There's just a lot of leadership qualities. Michael Thane, Cyril, or Kyle O'Malley, I should say. These are guys. Just it feels like a very strong setup, and I suppose that's something you're looking to, as you said, you're looking to kind of tap in and just, I guess, take whatever you can from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important in footy is not to have egos. What I mean by that is that, you could easily come into a role like the one I've come into and gone, well, I'm the second grade coach. Everyone just listen and I don't need any outside noise from anyone. But at the end of the day, like you said, there are some really experienced people in the footy club, and I'd be stupid not to reach out and to tap into that experience to add value to what I bring in, because I certainly have my own value and I have my own style that, I do want to add value to what I guess Marto's bringing in as a club, game plans and all that sort of thing. But there are so many people, like you just mentioned, that, I'm going to be asking questions and I'm going to be getting advice, because even come round one, I may not know every player intimately at that point. It's going to take me the trials and probably round 1 or 2 to really hone in on every individual that's going to be more of a permanent member of the team. So, yeah, I'll be reaching out to Mick and Cam and to all the guys, just saying, what's your thoughts on this bloke? This is what I'm seeing. What are you seeing? And if you don't tap into that, I can see that not really running smoothly. So, I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's advice and bringing that with my style into 2026.
Nathan, you're obviously joining the club at a very exciting time. It's a 50-year anniversary. First year back in AFL Canberra first grade after there was an attempt about 30 odd years ago, Mick. But very exciting time to be at the Batemans Bay Seahawks. What are you most looking forward to about this year?
I guess personally, from a player perspective, I'm looking to test myself in one of what I think is one of the better competitions in New South Wales / ACT. Well, that's a standalone, but just being able to test myself against the best of the best. But from a club perspective, I'm just really excited on being part of such a historic club. The fact that they've put so much work into getting to the point of being able to step up, not resting on your laurels. You could easily just sit in community footy and make finals most years and possibly win a flag every year or two. But the fact that stepping up and constantly trying to strive, that's sort of the motto I live by in life. And that's what's attracted me here, I think, is the fact that it's a step up, it's a new challenge, and I love a challenge. So I'm really looking forward to what this season looks like. I know not all the results are going to go our way this year, and that's life, but it always starts hard to get to the future goals that we're looking for. And I hope this is not just a fly in, fly out 1 year sort of thing. I'd love to be a part of the Seahawks in whatever that looks like going forward. But for this year, I'm just excited about the challenge.
I'll tell you what, Nathan, if you stick with the club, you'll pretty quickly fall in love with it. It's a great footy club, and it's pride of the South Coast, down far South Coast, I'd say, Mick. Is that saying too much?
I like that, Charlie. That's good.
Hey, Mick, I'll ask you this question: what's Nathan's support team looking like this season for that second grade team? I mean, does he? Are there assistant coaches in place? What's the leadership team looking like for there?
Yes, I believe Cam's going to help Nathan out a fair bit. So he won't be playing. I think he's willing to help out from the sidelines. And then like you said, like I'll be about, and I'm sure there'll be a few handy older blokes there that have got a pretty good gauge on it as well. More than willing to help him out and Obviously we're connected as a full coaching group. So, as part of our first grade setup and Nath as well. We've got Marto, we've got myself, Billy. We throw Ant Freya into that as well, coaching the 18s. So, we're all a connected coaching group. We're all going. Well, I guess we're all going to play the same style of footy, similar style of footy, and we'll have our own aspirations on top of that as well.
Final question from me, Nathan. Let's talk about the footy. How is the second grade team looking so far?
Yeah, I'm still sort of figuring out exactly who's who in the zoo. I just got a nice email from Mick today around sort of names and fringe players and so forth. So I'm starting to get a gauge, but just overall from my experience at training so far, there's some really quality footballers, some really great young kids coming up into senior footy who are going to play a really vital role in whatever team they're selected in this year. Age is just a number to me, whether they're 17, 18, 19-year-old kids or they're in their prime or they're like sort of me and Mick and sort of towards the back end of our playing days. Everyone plays a role, and I'm excited to see how they all integrate throughout the season. And, football's a funny game, just because I've got some thoughts on certain players and where they'll play their best footy. Football evolves as the season goes on, and there might be some other roles. So I'm just looking forward to getting into the trials. I'm starting to get the itchy feet now. Like I just, training's great. It's a great opportunity to sort of perfect your art, your game plans and everything. But at a point, I think it's around that mid-Feb to late Feb, I'm starting to like, when are these trials coming on? I just want to get out there, get competitive, see the boys get to work and do what they do best.
Are there any players you're willing to say have impressed you so far?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't know exactly whether they're first or second graders yet, but I certainly seen that young guy. I think it's Jed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mick. Jed. He's a taller young fella. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah. I've been really impressed with how he goes about his training, and he's a physical kid, and he's got some skills there. So I've been enjoying watching him. But just, I know I'm not really giving you the exact answers you're looking for, but I think overall, I've been impressed with everyone that's been on the training track, because a lot of people do in the past in community football will turn up and fly in and just do the bare minimum, not really put their body on the line. Every single person that's taken the training track so far that I've witnessed has put their body, thrown everything into it. And one thing that my guys will learn this year is, one of my mottos is, you train the way you're going to play. And I did hear that message said by someone at training the other night. And you just can't turn up on game day without doing the same thing at training. It's like muscle memory. You got to keep working hard, and every player's done that so far. And that's just a sign of, I made the right decision at coming to this football club this year, because they're the sort of people I want to play footy with and coach.
Yeah, you singled out Jed there. Jed's from a very talented football family. Has two brothers who I believe are both going to be probably part of the first grade setup this year, Mick.
One definitely is.
So working on the other one?
Working on the other one, yeah.
I see. I think I know exactly who you're talking about. And Nathan, are you planning on pulling the boots on yourself this year? Are you going to do the playing coach role?
No, definitely be playing. I've worked too hard to get to this point to not pull on the boots, and I look forward to playing a role in whatever I'm called up to do. Obviously seeing what the numbers are like, but I couldn't see myself not playing unless I was asked not to play. But I'm looking forward to getting out there with the boys and playing in the Seahawks jersey for the first time this year.
Well, I think the beauty is that the only person who could potentially ask you not to play is you, as the second grade coach. So unless you're going to tell yourself off at any point, I think you'll probably be safe there.
Yeah, nah, I should be right. I should be right.
Final thoughts. You've been at the club for a couple of months now. What are you loving so far about being part of this club?
I think, and I'm definitely not here to toot Mick's horn, but I give him a bit of a shout out. Like, I think the most impressive thing is the organisation of this football club. It's been a while since I've been connected to a football club that runs so smoothly, that takes a lot of pride in looking after players. Everything from when I first reached out to where I am now has just been so thoughtful and planned out. From a player perspective, putting that hat on, it makes it far easier to turn up and do what I do best, and that's play footy. And from a coaching perspective, it's sort of been fairly articulated, the process of how the season's going to go out. There's been, this is the dates that trials are happening. It's just been a great experience to be a part of. And I think that when you think about it from a player perspective, when you've got those things running smoothly in the background, people don't want to walk away from a football club like that. They want to play. They're looking forward to signing up for the next year. So I've just seen that if I'm seeing that in my short period at the club, I can only imagine why some of these names continue to sign up year after year. So, once again, grateful to be a part of this footy club and looking forward to what 2026 looks like and being a part of the Seahawks 50th anniversary year.
I don't think I could end the podcast any better than that. Hey, thanks so much, Nathan. But before we finish up, I just do have one more thing to mention, Mick.
You got for me. I've got something too, actually. So you go first.
Well, I'll go first. Hey, we promised at the start of the year, we promised a few new things on the podcast this year, and if you've been a keen watcher, you would have noticed that this episode and last episode had one of those new things. And I'm going to give you a shout out here, Mick, because it's a Mick new intro to the podcast, including a few cameos. One that I want to point out. I sent you a message about this, Mick, but I do love the fact that you've gotten Marto in there telling the story about how he got his face scraped against the cricket pitch one time that I think he was playing in Batemans Bay for that story, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. Yeah, it's very strategic of me, mate.
Yeah, I feel like that's a bit of a stitch up, and of course you've also got Taya Hancock in there, saying how big of a fan she is of the show. So
yeah,
it's a good intro from you, mate. Very well done.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that.
What have you got?
I've got one too. So it's obviously 50 years. So I've been diving through some Seahawks archives of late. Lots of boxes floating around, but I come across this goodie today. I don't know whether you can see it, but it's the 1988 Grand Final program.
How good is that?
Yeah, it's a perler. It's got the team there, and so
you would have been one. Nick?
That was the year I was born. Yeah,
that was the year you were born. Yeah, I was still 4 years away. So you're really going into the archives there.
So yeah, it was Batemans Bay versus Bomaderry in the seniors and reserve grade at Hanging Rock.
Yeah, do you have the results for that game?
Yeah, well they won because they won 4 in a row. They won 85, 86, 87 and 88, but this is the program, so this is pre. It doesn't tell me the actual score, Jolie.
I understand that, but you're a footy brain. I thought you might have just had it stored away somewhere there.
But they definitely won. So, but pretty cool. I've got a few more like that, but given my birth year, I thought I might share that one.
That's a good one. Good piece of club history there.
Yeah, that's me anyway.
Well, thank you, Mick, and thank you, Nathan. I think we'll sign off there. Thanks for listening and watching again, and we'll be back with you in a couple of weeks' time. Cheers, guys.
Beautiful. Thanks, gents.
Thank you.
See ya.